Welcome back, because what I'm about to tell you is not loud tabloid noise, not reckless rumor, and not careless chatter. This is the kind of story that creeps through palace corridors in whispers, the kind that freezes conversations mid-sentence and makes seasoned royal aides lower their voices. Something deeply unsettling has been unfolding behind the gates of Buckingham Palace. Something so serious it has never been addressed publicly, and yet it carries the weight of a constitutional earthquake. Sources say the palace has quietly launched what they're calling an internal verification review. No press release, no announcement, no denial, just silence. And the focus of that review? Archie and Lilibet. For the monarchy, this is almost unthinkable. Because while the crown can survive scandals, criticism, and even public backlash, there is one thing it cannot afford uncertainty about: the bloodline. Titles can be adjusted. Duties can be stripped. Public roles can disappear overnight. But when there's even a shadow of doubt surrounding lineage, the entire foundation of the monarchy begins to tremble. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood is described as cold, heavy, and eerily still. Not panic, not anger, but the kind of tension that only appears when the institution senses a threat from within its own structure. What began as small, easily dismissed inconsistencies slowly transformed into something far more disturbing. Quiet discrepancies, details that didn't align, paperwork that didn't quite fit. And when palace advisors finally laid everything out side by side, the picture that emerged was impossible to ignore. This wasn't triggered by one explosive moment. There was no single scandal, no dramatic accusation. Instead, it was a pattern. A pattern of missing information, altered records, timelines that contradicted earlier statements, ceremonial procedures that didn't follow royal tradition. One inconsistency can be overlooked. Two might be explained away. But when they keep appearing, clustered around the most critical moments, the births of children tied to the royal line, the palace does not debate. It does not speculate. It investigates. The review began quietly, with caution and restraint, fully aware that whatever they uncovered could change everything. The first document examined was Archie's birth certificate. For ordinary families, it's just paperwork. For the royal family, it's a legal cornerstone. It establishes identity, legitimacy, and placement within the line of succession. Every detail must be precise, permanent, and beyond question. But Archie's certificate didn't remain untouched. Months after his birth, a silent alteration appeared. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was removed. In its place stood only Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, no surname, just a title. This was almost unheard of. Birth certificates are not edited casually. Someone must request the change. Someone must approve it. Someone must justify it. And there must always be a traceable reason. But when investigators looked back, the explanations collapsed. Meghan claimed the palace asked for the edit. Palace insiders said Meghan's team pushed for it. The stories didn't match. Even more troubling, there was no clear paper trail explaining why the change was necessary at all. For the monarchy, that raised a chilling question. If the foundational document of a child connected to the line of succession could be altered once without clarity, what else might not align? And that was only the beginning. As palace staff dug deeper, they moved backward to the events surrounding Archie's birth itself. And this is where confusion turned into concern. Royal births follow a rigid routine practiced for generations. The palace announces labor. Approved doctors verify the birth. A formal bulletin is displayed. The public sees the baby in a controlled ceremonial moment. But with Archie, none of this happened as expected. There was no announcement of labor. Hours passed in silence. Then suddenly, the public was told Meghan had just gone into labor even though Archie had already been born 8 hours earlier. The beginning of the story was announced after the ending had already occurred. For a royal birth, that simply doesn't happen. The announcement even came before verified medical confirmation, reversing the established order of events. Everything felt backward, vague, and tightly controlled. When Meghan and Harry finally appeared with Archie, The moment felt less like a traditional royal introduction and more like a carefully staged presentation, offering little clarity. Palace staff privately struggled to reconcile the public narrative with the timelines they were accustomed to documenting. It was the first real sign that this story didn't align with centuries of royal protocol. Then came the paperwork. In royal births, documentation is everything. Doctors' names are recorded. Witnesses sign. Records are stamped, logged, and archived immediately. But when investigators reviewed Archie's file, they didn't find a dramatic scandal. They found gaps, missing signatures, no listed doctors consistent with royal deliveries, hospital information that didn't align with established procedures, records that lacked the precision the monarchy depends on. No one accused anyone outright, but flags were raised. Because the monarchy doesn't operate on feelings or assumptions. It operates on records, proof, and verification. And too many elements of Archie's birth didn't meet that standard. If Archie's case caused discomfort, Lilibet's case caused alarm. Her birth was announced not by Buckingham Palace, not by royal doctors, and not through official British channels. Instead, it came from Meghan and Harry's team in California. A polished press release, carefully selected photographs, and nothing else. No British medical staff present, no palace witnesses, no UK registry documentation, no official acknowledgement from the royal household. For a child with potential ties to the royal line, this was unprecedented. When investigators attempted to reconstruct Lilibet's birth timeline, the gaps were even larger. Everything occurred outside the monarchy's jurisdiction. No documents were logged on British soil. No verification followed royal medical procedures. Even the visual record raised questions. Photos of Meghan during the pregnancy showed no consistent progression. Some appeared ahead of schedule, others behind. The palace wasn't interested in public speculation, only protocol, and protocol was absent. Then came the detail insiders described as deeply troubling. The doctor reportedly involved in Lilibet's delivery closed her medical practice just 2 weeks later. No public explanation, no royal documentation linking her to the birth. Added to the growing file, this irregularity made the situation impossible to dismiss. But the moment that truly escalated concern was Lilibet's christening. Royal christenings are not casual family events. They are constitutional acts linking a child to the Church of England, an institution intertwined with the crown itself. Every christening must be recorded, witnessed, and certified. Even private ceremonies leave a trace. Yet when senior advisors checked the Church of England registry, they found nothing. No entry, no confidential record, no bishop's signature, no acknowledgement from the Archbishop's office. For any child, that would be strange. For a child tied to the royal line, it was a constitutional problem. And then came another quiet shock. Photographs of the children over time did not appear consistent. Even insiders privately questioned why the child seen in one image did not resemble the child shown months later. The palace made no public comment. The inconsistencies were simply added to the file. At this point, Buckingham Palace shifted from quiet concern to structured investigation. A full internal team was assembled: senior advisors, archivists, constitutional lawyers, and clerical liaisons. Their task was not to accuse. It was to reconstruct everything. Every statement, every announcement, every photograph, every medical claim, every document. They reportedly built a physical timeline wall. Birth dates, public announcements, hospital records, christening claims, media appearances, internal protocols. Everything was compared against the standards the monarchy has upheld for generations. And the deeper they went, the more gaps appeared. Missing witness signatures, delayed paperwork, contradictory accounts, medical details that didn't align with protocol. A foreign birth without royal verification, a christening with no ecclesiastical record. Individually, none were explosive. Together, they formed a constitutional puzzle the palace could not ignore. Now the crown faces three possible paths: Titles could be quietly frozen, no further recognition, a slow distancing. The children could be gradually reclassified as private individuals, sliding out of royal structures without announcement. Or, the most severe option, formal removal. If documentation cannot verify lineage according to royal standards, titles and recognition can be removed cleanly and quietly. Sources say this is the outcome Meghan and Harry fear most. Reputation can recover, public opinion can shift, but a royal title once removed does not return. Inside the palace, the atmosphere is still. This isn't about drama or headlines, it's about the monarchy returning to its oldest rule. The line of succession must be unquestionable. For Meghan, this threatens the identity she has built. For Harry, the impact is deeper. Sources say he has reached out emotionally, seeking clarity, but once the crown enters legal territory, emotion no longer matters. Behind closed doors, the palace prepares its next move. No leaks, no statements. Just the slow, deliberate turning of a centuries-old machine, deciding a future that could reshape royal history. Because when the monarchy begins questioning its own bloodline, it isn't searching for gossip. It's preparing for action. And here's the part no one outside those walls truly understands. Once the monarchy reaches this stage, there is no turning back, no dramatic confrontation, no emotional showdown. There are no raised voices or slammed doors. Everything becomes quieter, colder, almost surgical. Decisions are no longer about people, feelings, or even family. They are about permanence, about records that will outlive everyone involved, about history books that cannot afford footnotes filled with doubt. Sources say senior royals have barely spoken about the Sussex children aloud, not because the topic is forbidden, but because it's too heavy. When it comes up, conversations slow. Words are chosen carefully. Papers are passed silently across polished tables. The weight of what's being examined hangs in the air because everyone involved understands what's at stake. This is not just about Archie and Lilibet. It's about precedent. If exceptions are made once, they echo forever. What makes this even more unsettling is the way everything has been handled publicly versus privately. Outwardly, smiles, carefully worded statements, warm phrases about family and love. But behind closed doors, the crown is stripping everything back to facts alone. No narratives, no documentaries, no interviews, just what can be proven, verified, and archived. And that is where the Sussex version of events begins to unravel. Insiders say the palace is particularly disturbed by how often explanations changed over time. One statement contradicted another, timelines shifted subtly, details once presented as firm suddenly became flexible. And flexibility is something the monarchy does not tolerate when it comes to lineage. The crown doesn't ask why someone feels a certain way. It asks whether something can be confirmed beyond doubt. There's also quiet frustration. Not anger, but disappointment. A sense that this situation never needed to reach this point. That choices were made which prioritized control over clarity, privacy over protocol. And while privacy can be respected, protocol cannot be bypassed when the line of succession is involved. That line is not emotional. It is legal. It is constitutional. And it does not bend. Some insiders believe Meghan underestimated this. That she believed modern image making, media power, and personal storytelling could exist separately from royal systems. But the monarchy doesn't operate on visibility. It operates on verification. You can be unseen and still be legitimate. But you cannot be visible without proof and expect legitimacy to follow automatically. For Harry, this has reportedly been devastating. Torn between loyalty to his wife and the institution he was born into, he now finds himself watching the crown question something he never imagined would be questioned. And no matter how painful that is, the palace will not stop. Because the crown does not protect individuals, it protects itself. What happens next may unfold slowly, months, even years. Decisions like this are rarely rushed.